Hey everyone, it's Lori, and I'm here today with my CathLit 2020 TBR. So, um, CathLit 2020 is kind of put on or masterminded by Haley at Carrots for Michaelmas, which is a very fun blog. So I will link that below if you want to check out more about the challenge. I did this challenge in 2019. We read 19 books. I was a little afraid that the 2020 challenge would be 20 books, but it's only 10. So that made me feel slightly less overwhelmed. But she has 10 different prompts, and so I have picked 9 of the 10 books. I'm having a little trouble with one of them. And I was trying to not purchase books for this reading challenge, so most of these are coming from books I already owned. A couple were some gifts, and then I'll probably end up buying one for the one challenge I'm just struggling with. So we'll just get started with the challenges. The first challenge is a memoir by a Catholic, and I have one that I've been meaning to read for a long time, and I've been putting it off because it's going to be hard, and that's Left to Tell by Immaculée Ilibigaza. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Immaculée is a survivor of the Rwandan genocide, and she is an excellent speaker, an excellent writer. I read her book Our Lady of Kibeho last year for the CathLit 2019 challenge, and she is going to be doing a retreat in a town near me in a couple of months. So I'm going to read this book. It is going to be hard, but this year I'm going to really challenge myself on a couple of these. Next up is a spiritual classic, and for this one, I am going to read The Reed of God by Carol Houselander. This is actually one that Haley suggested, and my husband saw it on the list when I sent it to him, and he had just heard people raving about it the day before. So he got this for me for Valentine's Day, and because he's the type of person who can never actually wait for the actual holiday to give a gift, as soon as it arrived, he gave me this, and he bought books for both girls too. So I'm going to go ahead and give The Reed of God a try for my spiritual classic. Next up, we have a book by a Catholic novelist, and we have a lot of novels by Catholic novelists in our house, so it was a little hard to choose who I wanted to go with. I have some Evelyn Waugh, just lots of choices I could have chosen from. I have Kristen Lavern's Daughter on Audible. That one I've tried and I haven't made it through, so that might have been a good challenge for me. But I decided to go for something a little more fun. And so I'm going to do Walker Percy, Lost in the Cosmos. If I don't do this one, I might do The Moviegoer, which is a Walker Percy novel that I have on Kindle that I started to read and then kind of unintentionally DNF'd because my life just got crazy. It was the summer. It was at the end of swim season. I just never got it finished. So I will probably go with Lost in the Cosmos, but if I don't, I will go with The Moviegoer, so I'll be reading some Walker Percy. Next up is poetry by a Catholic, and this might be a little bit of a cheat because I don't have any particular books by particular Catholic poets, but I do have this lovely book, Poems Every Catholic Should Know, which is compiled by Joseph Pierce. So I think I'm just going to go through and read this and find out all the poems that I should know as a Catholic. Next up is a book by a doctor of the church, and I had to go ahead and quickly Google to make sure this was indeed a doctor of the church, but the article the article I looked at said so we're going to assume that's right. So I'm going to read Dark Night of the Soul by St. John of the Cross. Mystic, this one's probably going to be hard for me. Mysticism is not something I connect with very well, but I had this on the shelf and I've been meaning to read it for a long time, so I figure this is a good reason to do so. Next up is the category that I'm having a hard time with, and that is a book about beauty. I don't appear to have any books about beauty anywhere on my shelves. So the two suggestions Haley gives are How Catholic Art Saved the Faith by Elizabeth Lev, and Beauty, What It Is and Why It Matters by John Mark L. Merivale. I will probably end up buying How Catholic Art Saved the Faith because I think that one would be of more interest to another person in my family, Eva, my little artist, than the other one. but I might find something completely different. It's just hard to tell. It's such a specific category that it's a little difficult. Next up, we have a book about a saint. I have a whole bunch of books about saints, so I just kind of picked one, and I decided to go with St. John Paul the Great, His Five Loves by Jason Everett. This is a book that Eva had for a class she took about St. John Paul II, and I figured I would go ahead and read it, being a saint of our times. And I believe Eva's confirmation saint was St. John Paul II. She went back and forth several times, but I'm pretty sure that's who she chose in the end. So I'm looking forward to reading more about John Paul II. Next up is a book about feasting, and this is one that I was having a little bit of trouble finding, and then my husband found this book on my bookshelf, so it has the word feasts in it, and I haven't read it. I've been meaning to. It's the Catholic Parent Book of Feasts, Celebrating the Church Year with Your Family, by Michael Ann Martin, Carol Puccio, and Zoe Romanowski, I guess. I'm only really familiar with Michael Ann Martin. I have a feeling this one might skew younger than my kids are now because I have had this book around for a long time. But, I figure it'll be good for me to kind of go through and remind myself of some of the things that we could be doing, or, just get some ideas. The next category is short stories by a Catholic, and for this one, I'm going with one we have on Kindle, and that is, I'm going to challenge myself very, very much and read some Flannery O'Connor. My husband is a Flannery O'Connor nut. Charlotte loves Flannery O'Connor. Brett decided about a year ago to read aloud to us as a family, A Good Man is Hard to Find, and I found that story devastating and terrible, and it made me never want to read any more Flannery O'Connor. So, we have the complete stories on Kindle. I do not know if I will read the complete stories or not. My husband has said that he would pick out a selection of Flannery stories where he sent me an article where somebody said something about stories where nobody done get killed. So yeah, stories without death might be where I start with Flannery O'Connor. We'll see. Maybe I'll just totally fall in love and read all of the dark, depressing death stories as well. I just don't know, but I'm going to challenge myself to read some Flannery O'Connor this year. And then the last category is a recently published Catholic book. And this was a category last year too, and this one's always kind of hard for me when I'm trying to shop my overfull shelves full of books. But it turns out that when Brett got me The Read of God for Valentine's Day, he also got books for Eva and for Charlotte. And so I'm just going to borrow Eva's book that she got because it looks pretty interesting to me. It's called Girl Arise by Claire Swinarski. And she's the creator of the Catholic Feminist podcast. And this one was published in 2019, so recently published. And about Catholic feminism. So I think I could get on board with that. I will point out that by page 3, Eva was asking me for definitions about things like maternity leave laws and subsidized child care. And then there was consubstantiation by page 12. But she's really enjoying it so far, even though it might be actually targeted at older than my 15-year-old daughter, which doesn't really surprise me, but I get a little tired of the girl titles when talking about adult women, so if this is actually meant for adult women, I wish they would stop the girl titles. They just bother me. So anyway, those are the 9 books out of the 10 challenges that I have so far for my CathLit 2020 challenge. If you have suggestions for me about books about beauty, I would love, love, love to hear them because that is a hard category for me. So just go ahead and leave those in the comments. If you've read any of these books and want to talk with me about them, you can do that there as well. Feel free to click the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date on all of my crazy reading. Sometimes my girls do videos with me, but they've been super busy the last couple of months, so they haven't been in any, but hopefully pretty soon they'll be up for more. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely day. I'll see you in the next video.